I want to say what I think are basically, in my eyes, a mistake. And I know that Daniel Kahneman said, it's not true what impresses a man, experience or memory. I shall try to use experience instead of memory. And the first mistake, I think, I've learned from my life, don't look for perfection. You will make mistakes. Be satisfied with enabling people to live fairly together. Perfection can be a desire. I don't think we can achieve it in the foreseeable future. And for that reason, people are so disappointed because they set their goal too high. The story I heard is that about a gentleman that looked to marry an idle woman, and when he found one like her, he discovered she is looking for an idle man, so they didn't marry. I mean, wherever I go, I know that we cannot achieve the ultimate goal. And if because you cannot achieve the ultimate goal, you're not trying, it's another mistake. Take, for example, peace, what we are talking about, negotiations. The difficulty with peace is not necessarily just your enemy, but your own people. Why? They say, yes, we are for peace. Yes, we're ready to pay the price. But why are you paying so much? Why do you trust them so much? I don't have an answer. Who can measure what is much and what is little? Who can measure how much can you trust them or can't you trust them? The same goes, I think the greatest problem in life is couples, a man and a wife. They want to have a perfect life, and they will try to keep life perfect. They will reach a divorce. Each of them will discover there are some shortages and disagreements in life. So my own conclusion about how not to make mistakes is close a little bit your eyes. You cannot make love and you cannot make peace with open eyes. The second mistake, I think, is don't mix past and future. Past is dead. Don't try to correct it. It's a mistake. Can you correct something which is dead? Can you change the past? So concentrate all your efforts on the future. Now, the future is unknown, I agree. Who knows? You have to take a risk. So actually, you have to choose between two sorts of mistakes. One is to do nothing in order not to make a mistake, or to do something even if it includes some mistakes. Here I think better try, even if you'll make a mistake, and maybe you will have a success. If you won't try, you will not have a mistake, but neither will you have a success. Dana just mentioned that we have had now two investigating committees, one about the war and the other about the fire. And the controller didn't spare his condemnations of those failures. I think the greatest mistake here is instead of making investigating committees about our mistakes, let's make investigating committees about our successes. All committees is, how did you commit a mistake? Why? Let's try and see how did we commit something which is right and learn from it. So I as a person think, you know what, let the past rest quietly. We can't change it anyway. I want just to make one clarification, because when I say forget the past, people say, what do you mean? To forget the Shoah, to forget the Bible? No. I'm talking about events and norms, not about values. And I agree with you completely that finally values you must keep. Values are not aging, as wisdom is not aging. What is aging is the way we administrate our life, the way we behave, the way we put our priorities, and the wrong appetites, like the appetite to govern, the appetite to rule, the appetite to be famous. And I think that's today a great mistake. I think leaders became extremely weak today because they have the false claim. And the leader appears today and says, I am wise, I am strong, I know what to do. People look at him and say, really? You're such a big man? If this is the case, can you teach us how to stop economic crisis? Can you show us how to get over terror? If you don't know, be a little bit modest. And I would recommend to people that want to be leaders, don't try to be on the top. Try to be ahead. And don't try to rule. Try to serve. I suggest to change the meaning of serving and ruling. At my old age, I think I have more satisfaction today to serve than to rule. Since I speak against perfection, I don't consider myself a perfect person, so I can't go to sleep at night. If I would be a perfect person, if I would think I'm a perfect person, I would have sleepless nights. I don't know any day that I didn't commit some mistakes. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to analyze them. And believe me, I have a lot of material about the mistakes I made. And I can give you many. But I shall give just one or two about the mistakes that I regret. Not personally, I have my personal mistakes too, that's another story. I'm talking about my political life. For example, I participated in a decision of the government not to negotiate with the PLO. We have good reasons. It was a terroristic organization. They killed our people. They say, how can you speak with murderers? The reason. So it was still a mistake, because by not talking, they would continue to shoot. By talking, well, maybe there is a chance that they will talk instead of shooting. But then I came again to the other assumption, which is don't look for perfection. You won't achieve it, neither on your side nor on their side. So I thought, you know what? We have Gaza, we have the West Bank. Let's start with Gaza and try and say, look, Gaza is basically an Arab population, an Arab place. Give them to rule it. And you know what the answer was of the head of the PLO? Oh, he says, you're too smart. You say Gaza first, but you mean Gaza last. So how can I negotiate with you? You want to give me Gaza, so you won't have to give me the West Bank. So I had an idea. I says, you know what? We shall give you Gaza, and at the same time, we shall give you Jericho, which is the most faraway place on the West Bank. Then I had troubles with my colleague, Rabin. He says, "What are you doing?" But then, finally they agreed, and we had an argument among ourselves. Yitzhak Rabin was a great leader and a great soldier. He says, "Look, I'm ready that Gaza will be handed over to the Palestinians, provided that the security will be in our hands." I told him, "Yitzhak, don't do it." He says, "Why?" I says, "Look, if it will be in our hands, we shall not be able to rule it. Every officer that will see an Arab holding something in his hands will report he carries arms, and then we shall intervene. And finally, we shall find ourselves victims of our own suspicions, because every officer wants to make sure there is nothing dangerous in his hand." So he says, "Let's take a risk and let them run their lives. Maybe some of them will carry a bomb, but at least we shall enable them to rule." We made a compromise. And now I'm looking forward, and I understand the people. Why should, after so many Israelis were killed, why should you trust them? I say, look, and this is another mistake that I have learned. People think that to be strong and to be macho assures you the upper hand. And you know what? I think, well, you have to be strong, sure. But maybe generosity is more powerful than power. I'm looking at the United States. You know, I learned that the United States became great not by taking, but by giving. Usually, all superpowers took. They took land, they took control, and most of them fall. I'm not talking about American politics or zigzags here and there. I'm talking about the character of the American political soul, which is based on generosity, not on its strengths, on giving more than on taking. But I think that the Marshall Plan meant that America gave a fourth of its GNP to Europe, to a broken Europe, without asking for any return. That was the wisest move the United States could have done in order to have Europe on her side, more than by taking. But if you are not ready to make mistakes, don't go into politics. I don't recommend. You are all the time attacked by the press. You are all the time controlled by the parliament, which is normal. And finally, it came to a point that political life right now is very much paralyzed because of the amount of control, both by the press and by the institutions. And that's another mistake. But I admire Professor Kahneman because he gave me a hope. He said, look, we have two systems. One is the intuitive, which is fast, on many occasions foolish. Then you have the other system, which is more thoughtful, slow, but it can save you at the last moment for making a mistake. So living in a doubt is really the secret of Jewish life. What did the Jewish people do facing those contradictions? They make two decisions, historically, maybe unknown. One is prefer answers upon questions. if you know how to put the right question, you are beginning to have an idea what may be the right answer. Never start with answers. All your life, teach your children to question and question and question. It's an art of questioning. And the other thing is, and I'm thinking what is the greatest contribution of the Jewish people to the world, I say dissatisfaction. Don't be satisfied because you didn't reach perfection, because there is a long way to perfection. But try to achieve it, knowing that it's very hard, if at all possible, because that's what you said, and that's what I have learned from my own mentor, David Ben-Gurion. The major lesson I learned from him was to be moral, to respect ethics. It's not just to be an ethical person or a moral person, but morality is the highest degree of wisdom. And I recommend that in spite of having so many mistakes, let's try to be wise. Thank you.